Here for Total Access Overtime, and today's topic du jour is what quarterbacks are under the most pressure entering the 2021 season, and there are many quarterbacks under pressure, so I want to get right to this, and I'm going to start with Cynthia Freeland, way to my left over here. And Cynthia, this guy I think might have a breakout year. That's what I've been saying, but I won't believe it unless you say that that might happen as well.
Well, listen, Baker Mayfield is who we're talking about here. And I'm actually going to talk about kind of the bookends of that 2018 draft. The first overall pick, Baker Mayfield, and his buddy in the AFC North, Lamar Jackson, the 32nd pick. When I look at Baker Mayfield standing behind that revamped O-line and all the additions that they made to help him out, to make sure that he could absolutely succeed in this Kevin Stefanski play-action-based offense where he really significantly improved last season, this is the, pay me situation. They've given him every weapon. They've given him every opportunity. You have a healthy Odell Beckham, and that's going to be, all right, are we going to pay you or not? Another guy looking for a payday? Yeah, Lamar Jackson, the 32nd pick. Obviously, he had an MVP season, but a lot of people are questioning, can he throw the ball downfield? Is it just all about his legs? Can they disguise this offense and create the passing situations that make the Ravens winners? Because the expectation for Ravens, yeah, it's not the postseason. It's deep into the postseason. So for me, both of these guys are really in their make it or break it situation, and they did surround Lamar Jackson as well with a revamped O-line and some additional help at the wide receiver position.
That's fair. A couple of guys, a couple of years into their career, and it's time for them to show us what they really can do. Let's be a little unfair now, and Mike Giardi's going to do it for us because he wants to talk about a guy who didn't even have a full rookie season, but really needs to step up, and I agree with it, too.
Yeah, Mike, the rush to judgment on Tua Tagovailoa was a little bit too quick for me. He's got 9 games under his belt, not even 9 complete games under his belt, as he was relieved a couple times by Ryan Fitzpatrick. But when you look at what Miami did during the offseason, they gave him Will Fuller, they drafted Jalen Waddle, they drafted Hunter Long, a tight end, in the 3rd round. They've upgraded their offensive line, which is young but gelling. They're really putting it on Tua to take that next step. And, yeah, they sniffed around Deshaun Watson before that thing went sideways. I think when you look at some of Tua's numbers deeper, you understand that he was really conservative, and the game plan around him was really conservative. Well, now they've given him the pieces, Mike, to open this thing up, and he's got to show that he can do what he did at Alabama or something close to it.
Yeah, we've been talking about teams adding weapons. Let's talk about a quarterback who had a big weapon taken away. That is Matt Ryan.
Right.
He lost Julio Jones. Now Ryan Tannehill got him. So, Willie, I want you to get to Tannehill. But start me on Matt Ryan, because losing a weapon can put some pressure on you as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And let's give these young guys some time. I mean, these guys haven't even started a full season, and we're already saying the pressure's on. You got to go and win a Super Bowl. Give them some time. But here's a guy who's had a lot of time, okay? Matt Ryan. Since the Super Bowl, it just has not been the same. Now, Matt Ryan is one of the better quarterbacks, and he one of the best at completion percentage and all those different things. But the last 3 years, they're 18-30, okay, with no playoffs. And when you look at a team trying to get better, rebuild, or make a run for the Super Bowl, that backfield is not the same. With Freeman and Coleman, they're gone. Majority of all the receivers from that Super Bowl team that had a target is gone. Your GM has been fired. He's been through 3 head coaches. So the common denominator who's still there standing tall is Matt Ryan. They did not go out and draft a quarterback. They were in position to draft one of these top quarterbacks in the draft, and they didn't do that as well. So now that you have Matt Ryan and all these new pieces and all these changes that's going on in the front office and on the football field, I would say by them not going to get a quarterback, they are putting a lot of pressure, saying they believe in you and you are the guy. So you need to come into this system, come into whatever's going on with the new coaching staff, and show why they didn't draft a guy to replace you, and you're still there, and all these other pieces are gone, like Julio, who is now with Tannehill. Now, why is the pressure on Tannehill? I don't think so. I think Tannehill has done a phenomenal job at being a quarterback for the Tennessee Titans, doing everything they wanted him to do. He's playing well within the system. They were a run-first. This was a run-first football team, okay? You got to respect Derrick Henry, and when he needed to make the throws down the field off the play action and make those big plays with his arm, he delivered. That's why they gave him the big contract. He fits this system and what they're asking him to do perfectly. Now, You add Julio Jones to the mix. This is saying we've got to up our pass attempts because they wasn't at the top of the league when it came to passing the ball down the field because they didn't have to. If you don't force a team to do something and they can take advantage at one dimensional of the game, they'll do that. Now, because you have these two talented guys on the outside, he is going to have a little bit pressure to throw the ball a little bit more. But in my opinion, it's not pressure, it's an advantage because now you add another dimension to the playbook and to the offense where you're not predictable. You can start the game by firing the ball down the field to open up the running game, and it changes things dramatically of how teams have to approach the Tennessee Titans now.
Yeah, now let's stay in the AFC South because there's a new quarterback in that division. Carson Wentz leaving the NFC East, joining the Indianapolis Colts. And listen, the last couple of years in Philly, whether it was an injury or some drama, the selection of Jalen Hurts last year, there was a lot of things around Carson Wentz that just didn't have him feeling great. So I say he's under pressure because, you know, now he goes to Indianapolis and he's got Frank Reich again. He's got really good weapons around him. He's got a really good offensive line around him. So, yeah, now it's time for him to perform. But when I say there's more pressure on him, I actually think he's feeling a lot looser right now. He spent a lot of time this offseason with his new teammates in Indianapolis, getting to know them. And so there's been a really good feel on his part, leaving that Philadelphia market, which is really tough. You try to block out all the noise. You really can't in that market. So he spent this last couple of months in Indianapolis, and I just know that he's feeling better and thinking that maybe he can get back to playing Mike Giardi like he did earlier in his career, where he's playing loose and wasn't feeling the pressure as much.
Come on, Willie. No, hey, look, I totally agree with you here. And when you look at that Colts roster, I think that Colts roster is built to win now. In fact, I think they could be championship-driven if the quarterback in Carson Wentz can play something close to like he was in 2017. Now, is he too far removed from that? I don't know. What I do know is obviously the relationship with Frank Reich is a great one. Reich believes in him. The Colts believe in him. And he actually has weapons to throw to now at wide receiver, something that he did not have the last 2 years. His leading receivers last year were both undrafted free agents. That's usually not a good recipe for success in the National Football League. Now he's got the pieces, but it's on him to make it work.
And Mike G, we got to stop making excuses for these $100 million+ quarterbacks that were high draft picks, okay? He played in a tough market. Like, all these guys play in a tough market. When you're not playing well, the market becomes tough because they're going to boo you, they're going to talk about you, and they're going to get after you. He had the pieces. He had a good head coach. I know he had a depleted roster of receiver, and the weapons were hurt. But at the end of the day, he has to stay healthy. He has to stay on the football field, and he has to produce. Whatever is out there, you got to produce. That's what any quarterback in the league.
Willie, I'm glad you came back like that because that crystallizes my point. Maybe I didn't make it clear. The pressure's on Wentz because all of those things that we were talking about that were factors back in his time during Philly, they're all gone now. So, yes, he has to perform and show that now he can get back to being that guy that he was early in his career. But those the noise in Philadelphia and all those factors, they're now Jalen Hurts' problem now. He's got to deal with that. And I would say the pressure's on him because I'm looking at Philadelphia's draft capital next year. They have 2 first-round picks, likely 3 if Carson Wentz plays the requisite number of snaps in Indianapolis. So they're going to have the capital to get themselves another quarterback if Jalen Hurts doesn't perform. So I know, Willie, you want me to wait till these guys are later in their career to say the pressure's on them, but it's on Jalen Hurts right now. I'm sorry, Willie. Don't hate me.
Well, when you talk about draft capital, we saw the Giants do something kind of weird this year. They traded down, which was not historically what Dave Gettleman likes to do. So for me, Daniel Jones is under some pressure here because they've surrounded him with every opportunity to succeed. They got him Kadarius Toney. They got him that guy from Detroit. I'm not going to talk about it because it hurts. I'm from Michigan. So ultimately, when you look at Kenny Golladay and his effect and all the opportunities for Daniel Jones, if he doesn't succeed, I think it's out of the Big Apple, which, by the way, is also a particularly tough media market when things don't go well.
Yeah, the pressure was on all 4 of us to get this done in the requisite time. And we did it.
That's why I stopped talking.
Job, everybody.
That's a pro.
All right, good stuff, everyone. And speaking of